Good morning. We are going to go to continue our study today in lesson 3.4 of Abundant Life. And today we're going to be looking again at abundant hope. John 10:10 tells us, "The thief cometh not, but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly." I want to have abundant life. Abundant means well supplied, not just existing, not just barely getting by, but life with purpose. That's what I want. I want to have a life that is full. How can I have abundant life when everything is going wrong? How can I have abundant life in the middle of a pandemic? How can I have abundant life when I have experienced hurt, pain, loss? We are not alone in our experiences of grief. The story in the Bible of Mary and Martha show us an example of those grieving. In John 11, verse number 30, we're going to start a lengthy reading, and it says, "Now Jesus was not yet come into the town, but was in that place where Martha met him. The Jews then, which were with her in the house, and comforted her, when they saw Mary, that she rose up and hastily went out, they followed her, saying, She goeth unto the grave to weep there. But then Mary was come where Jesus was, and saw him, and fell down at his feet, saying unto him, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died. When Jesus therefore saw her weeping, and the Jews also weeping with her, he groaned in his spirit, and was troubled, and said, Where have you laid him? And they said unto him, Lord, come and see. And Jesus wept." Mary and Martha had lost their brother. They were grieving from this terrible pain of loss. They had believed that Jesus would heal Lazarus. They called for him, and they just knew he would come. They knew that he loved Lazarus. Lazarus was his friend. But he did not come as they anticipated. And they, in turn, were bearing the burden of a broken spirit and heart. They were weighed down because their faith had been shattered. They were even a little angry and put out with Jesus. She said, "If only you had been here, my brother wouldn't have died." She was almost angry with grief. If only, God, you had done things my way. I wonder if there are situations in our life that we may even feel a little bit like Mary and Martha. God, if you cared, if you had just answered the way I thought you should, I wouldn't have to be bearing this enormous pain right now. But instead, you were late. Instead, you haven't answered the way that I thought that you should. Instead, God chose to move in a totally different way. We have sorrow and we have pain, but we can still hold on to hope. Hope in the middle of our darkest nights. Hope in the scriptures. Psalms 30, verse 5 says, "Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning." No, not just in one night, but a hope that we will experience joy again. There is hope. In the middle of crushing pain, in the middle of experiencing grief, there is hope that joy will return. The weeping will not last forever. This life is filled with sorrow because of the losses we experience. But we can still have hope. I can have hope in the moments of despair. I can have hope while grieving. Grieving allows survivors to adjust to the changes that the loss has made in their lives and to reorient themselves to a future life in which the loved person or even objects are physically absent. There's many things that we can grieve the loss of, but in the middle of it all, we still can have hope in a God that says he will heal our hearts. He alone can give us the strength to continue. Psalms 147:3 tells us, he healeth the broken heart and bindeth up their wounds. If you are broken today, if you are grieving, let me remind you there is still hope in the hands of Jesus. He can bind up your broken heart. He can bring comfort like nothing else in this world can bring. He alone can bring that comfort. So Psalms 23:4 tells us, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. I have hope, even though I'm walking through the valley of the shadow of death. I have hope in a God that is still going to guide me, still going to direct me, and still going to bring me up out of this valley of the shadow of death. I have abundant hope in God, because Isaiah 51:12 tells me, even I am he that comforteth you. He is my comfort. I have hope in my God. He is not going to leave me in that valley alone, but he is walking with me every single step, and I can just feel his arms of comfort wrapping around me in moments of despair, in moments of grief and loss. Our God is still there, and that's why I have abundant hope. As you're going through this day, why don't you just reach out to God, ask for his arms of love to comfort you and to remind you once again of that abundant hope we have in him. God bless you.